What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Adventure Outpost. Another weekend has come and gone, and it is once again time to talk those box office numbers. But like always, before we begin, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, drop some comments down below. I want to know if you went out and saw anything this weekend in what was one of the lowest grossing weekends for the entire year. We're going to dive into all of that right now. It was such a quiet weekend here at the box office. The 2 weeks in between Thanksgiving and whatever the big Christmas movie is one of the lowest grossing times in all of history throughout film that we've been charting here with the box office. This is statistically always a low earner weekend. It was curious to see just how low it was going to be, and it did not disappoint in how low this grossing weekend was going to be. It managed to make it onto the top 5 lowest grossing weekends of 2022. We're going to take a look at this chart real quick before we dive into our top 10, and it is the lowest grossing weekends of 2022. So if we take a look here, you see we've got the 5 lowest grossing weekends of 2022. We start at the bottom. January 21st to 23rd takes the number 5 spot with 42 million. August 26th to 28th takes the 4th spot with 41 million. September 9th to September 11th takes the 3rd spot with 33 million. And this past weekend of December 9th to the 11th takes the number 2 spot, the number 2 worst weekend of this year with $32 million, beat only by our number 1 spot, which was the weekend of January 28th to the 30th, grossing only $30 million. So this was an insanely low grossing weekend, but we're going to chart past all that right now. We knew it was going to be low. We figured out how low it was going to be. It joins the leagues as one of the lowest, but now we're going to dive into the top 10 and see just what managed to make the list. We look at the chart now for the weekend of the 9th to the 11th. We were down 33.1% over last week, taking in $32 million. We had no change in the top 5 here. Everything stays in its positioning. It just manages to make some money on top of it. We're going to quickly run through that in the charts. In first place, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, again in its 5th week. We are going to talk about that in just a moment. It drops 36.7% to take in $11 million to bring its total domestic hold to $409 million off of a $250 million budget. This movie is making stonking amounts of money, and it will be interesting to see what it's going to do now this weekend, now that Avatar: The Way of Water is being released. I'm sure this movie is going to at least drop down into 2nd place, but it'll be interesting to see what its holdover will be now with this big, huge new movie coming out. In 2nd place was Violent Night in its 2nd weekend, dropping 35.3%, taking in $8.6 million to bring its total domestic hold to $26 million off of a $20 million budget. This movie is going to end up being a bit of a win for itself. Oh, hello, puppy. Hi. You coming to give kisses? Okay. This movie is going to end up being a nice little win for itself. That's a nice mid-size win right there. We don't know what it was worldwide at least, but I'm sure at this point this movie is comfortably printing money. It goes to show that there is room for these mid-sized movies here at the box office. In 3rd place in its 3rd week is Strange World, dropping 29.2%, taking in $3.6 million, bringing its total domestic haul to $30 million off of a $180 million budget. It is safe to say that this movie will absolutely be joining the biggest bombs of the year, a list that we will compile at the last weekend of December, and we will go through all of our biggest bombs for the year of 2022, but it is safe to say that Strange World will be joining those ranks. In 4th place is The Menu in its 4th week, dropping 22.2%, taking in $2.7 million, bringing its total domestic haul to $29 million off of a $30 million budget. This is a movie much like Violent World that is a nice mid-sized movie there that looks like it's going to make itself a decent amount of profit. So once again, thus proving that there is a world for these mid-sized movies here to thrive at the box office. In 5th place is Devotion in its 3rd week, dropping 26.6% to take in almost $2 million to bring its total domestic haul to $16.9 million off of a $90 million budget. This is a movie that has a bit of a ways to go to make its budget back. It might end up joining the biggest bombs list with Strange World, but we will keep charting for the next few weeks to see if it's able to bridge that gap. In 6th place is the movie Black Adam in its 8th week, dropping only 14.4%. That's not bad right there. It took in $1.3 million to bring its total domestic haul to $166 million off of a $195 million budget. This movie, again, a lot of conflicting reports out in the world. People saying this movie is going to lose money. The Rock coming out and trying to be like, no, we're actually going to make money. Whatever way you want to slice it, I'm kind of leaning towards the side of where you guys aren't really making money, because this movie took about 200 million flat rate just to make. You got to account for at least another 100 million in marketing. So if movie costs 300 million, you need to double it to at least start making some like hot profits, which means this movie needed to make at least 600 million to break even or start making money, and it is nowhere near close to that. Even if you want to take like a few hundred million off of that, I still think that at best this movie is going to break even. So I don't know if I buy the spin that you're trying to put on this, that this movie actually made money. It remains to be seen. Obviously, we'll never really get the full figures because they don't really release stuff like that. They're not going to be as transparent with that. So we just have to go off of these numbers here or what The Rock is saying. So who really knows in the long run? But I think it's a little tough to think that this movie is turning a nice profit like that. But, you know, it's possible. In 7th place is The Fabelmans in its 5th week, dropping only 7%. The best holdover week to week here that we've seen in a while, under 10%. That's a beautiful thing right there. Unfortunately, it only took in $1.1 million to bring its total domestic hold to $7 million off of a $40 million budget. So even having a great holdover week like that doesn't seem like it's going to give it the mustard that it needs to make this movie in the green and give it some profit, which I just can't believe in this day and age that we live in a world where a Steven Spielberg movie doesn't make money hand over fist. It is crazy. But hey, Golden Globe nominations came out today, and it was nominated for a shit bunch of awards, so that is awesome. In 8th place, we have I Heard the Bells, still managing to hang out in the top 10 in week number 2 here, dropping 62.5%, one of the biggest drops week to week here from this past week. It took in $750,000, bringing its total domestic hold of $4 million off of a budget that we have no idea about because it doesn't want to say it anywhere. I said last week this was probably its only week here in the top 10 to enjoy, but it looks like I was wrong. It's going to get one more week to hang around and play, but I'm sure that this is the final week for it, so enjoy yourself. I Heard the Bells, and we'll see you never. In 9th place is what was a new wide release today, which is why we see such a big positive number as it expanded into more theaters. But spoiler alert, in its 2nd week, went positive 744%, taking in $700,000 to bring its total domestic hold to $803,000 off of a budget that they did not want to disclose to us. This is a movie, I never even heard of this movie, but apparently it was a wide release this weekend, starring Jim Parsons from The Big Bang Theory and directed by Michael Showalter. I actually still don't know anything about the movie other than looking at that poster, but, you know, good for you guys. That's all I got. Don't have a lot for you on that one, but it looks like, I mean, it's hard to talk when you don't know the budget, like at what point is this movie going to be making money or anything like that. I mean, obviously, you want to be making over millions of dollars here at this point, so the fact that we're 2 weeks in and it still hasn't broken a million, could be a little tough to make its budget back. But again, we don't even know. This might be a movie that didn't even cost a lot to make, so they might be close to nearing to making money back. We don't know. It's hard to decide. But holding on strong in the 10th spot is Ticket to Paradise in its 8th week, dropping 29.8%, taking in just about $600,000 to bring its total domestic hold to $67 million off of a $60 million budget. Now, as always, we love to go into our worldwide and domestic grosses for the year of 2022. We start, as always, with our worldwide. Taking a look at the chart here, Top Gun Maverick still in the number 1 seed with $1.4 billion. Jurassic World right behind that with $1 billion. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness in 3rd place with $955 million. In 4th place was Minions Rise of Gru at $939. The Batman in the 5th place with $770 million, but it will be quickly overtaken this next weekend with Black Panther Wakanda Forever hanging in the 6th spot right now with $776 million. Thor Love and Thunder right behind that with $760. Watergate Bridge at $626. Moon Man with $458. And Fantastic Beasts still holding strong in the number 10th spot with $405 million. We take a look at always as well at our domestic front here at the list right now. We've got Top Gun Maverick in the 1st seed with $718 million. We've got Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness with $411. Black Panther Wakanda Forever looking to overtake and take the 2nd spot by next weekend with $409 million. Jurassic World right behind that with $376. Minions Rise of Gru with $369. The Batman just behind it with $369 as well. Thor Love and Thunder behind that with $343. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 at $190, Black Adam at $166, and Elvis hanging on in the 10th spot with $151 million. Now, before we get to our last list, we'd like to take a look at our gone but not forgotten heroes. These are our heroes that did their time in the top 10 but have left now for greener passages. We take a look here at the chart. We had only one movie this past weekend drop out of the top 10. We take a look here at the chart, and it was the movie Bones and All. After 3 weeks on the chart, bows out of the top 10. You did your business. You had your say. You did your time. We will now see you on the streaming and physical media world. And as always, we salute you. Now we have one final chart before we say our goodbye for this weekend, and it is the celebratory Black Panther #1 consecutive chart. This chart should just be owned by Black Panther for right now, because there's no other movie that's going to be able to do what it did this year. Black Panther for the year of 2022 managed to hold the #1 position at the box office for 5 weeks in a row. A feat that was not done since Tenet back in 2020, when it managed to hold on to the #1 spot for 5 consecutive weekends in a row. It is also the first movie to hold 5 weekends at the box office since Spider-Man No Way Home. So this is a big feat for Marvel once again. With all of the issues that they've had in Phase 4 here, they still managed to outdo themselves and get this huge feat here with 5 consecutive weekends at #1 for Black Panther. We take a look here at the chart. We have everything that is held for more than 1 weekend in the #1 position. We won't go through the entire list, as we've done that ad nauseum from week to week with Black Panther joining this list, but we will go all the way down to the latest party, where we see now Black Panther being the only movie for this year that managed to hold on to the box office for 4 weekends consecutively, and now 5 weekends consecutively, with the weekends of November 11th, November 18th, November 25th, December 2nd, and December 9th. So that is a huge feat in and of itself. That is an absolutely big win right there for 2022. That is an absolutely celebratory win here this weekend, in a weekend that was so low grossing and with nothing really much to report. That is a big win for the 2022 box office right there. There will be no other movie that's going to come close to doing that. Even Avatar comes out this weekend. Even if Avatar manages to hold the box office for the next however many weeks until we are done with the year, it will only be able to get 3 weekends for 2022, and then it's going to carry over into 2023. So nobody is going to hit 5 consecutive weekends in 2022. Avatar probably will do it in the long run if we're going to follow along from 2022 into 2023, which we will, but it will still only go in as 3 weekends in 2022, and then however many weekends in 2023. It may pass more than 5 weekends consecutively for Black Panther, but it's going to have that asterisk of 2022/2023. So this is the big win for Black Panther for this year here in 2022. That is a huge celebratory win for you guys right there. Kudos to you. And that'll do it for all of us here at the charts for this weekend. A nice quiet weekend while we await the big, huge movie for the rest of the year, with Avatar: The Way of Water coming out this Friday. Sure to do absolute gangbusters here at the theater. My theater is going to be all hands on deck for it this weekend. We're getting ready to go to war, baby. It is going to be a wild time. I did not work for a theater yet when the first Avatar came out. I was still in college, but I bet your ass I did go and see that movie in theaters. So I'm super excited to get a chance to see this movie this weekend in theaters, and it's going to be very interesting to see what it is like working a James Cameron picture. But that'll be for next weekend's charts. This is the end of this weekend's charts. Until next time, you have been you, I have been me. These are the movies that we love so much, and until next time, adventure on.